It is our favorite time of the week again. Time for hashtag Rising Qs, where we get to answer your questions. What is up first, Sagar?
Okay, number one from Happy 1914.
Happy.
That's a nice little handle. If Trump's number continues to fall as we head into the election, how quickly will congressional Republicans in swing states pretend they were opposed or at least independent to him the whole time? Hashtag Rising Qs. I guess this one was directed at me. I will tell you what's going to happen is what usually happens in this particular case, like with W in 2008, where nobody will like outright attack you. They just won't talk about you at all, and they'll only talk about your opponent, right?
They'll just pretend it didn't happen.
They'll be like, yeah, like he's the leader. I stand with the president. Now let's talk about Joe Biden, or now let's talk about, my opponent's so-and-so. When W was running, he had what, like a 30% approval rating or something?
Yeah.
If you go back and you look at that, it's like he didn't exist. It was like, oh, who is this? Who is the president? It's not like.
Well, and during the election, I remember all the Democratic ads were like, here's this person's picture with George W. Bush, right? The dynamic this time is different in the election because Trump is so popular with the base.
Yes.
So I saw an analysis recently. Was it Weigel? I can't remember who did this, but it was very smart looking at basically. I know. It was Tim Miller interviewing GOP consultants in Rolling Stone. And basically they were saying, look, we're not going to distance ourselves from Trump because you can't. Because the base, like the floor is littered with people like Jeff Flake and who got crosswise with the president and his base. Like you can't afford to do that. So I don't think you're going to see that same dynamic in the election. Now, if he were to lose, which I think is what you're asking about here, I think instead of really sort of trashing him, it will be more of an attempt to graft on to his movement, whatever the sort of convenient principles are. So I don't know that you're going to see the same level of abandonment because I think the base is still going to continue to have very fervently strong feelings
That's
for him.
That's the key point. He's got like a 98% approval rating amongst the Republican base. You can't repudiate him. You just do what they did after W and just like pretend they don't exist. That's the most likely course.
The brave course, always. The path of greatest courage is what they'll certainly engage in. All right, next question. We have, how meaningless are these Biden-Sanders task forces? Should we be fighting for universal health coverage in each state? Let me start with the second piece of that first. I don't think it's realistic to fight for universal health coverage in each state because it's such a big problem. Like the numbers do not work out properly unless you do this as a national.
Yeah, it doesn't really work, as I understand.
Vermont tried to, California tried to. You really can't do it as an individual state. It really has to be done at the federal level. In terms of how meaningless the Biden-Sanders task forces are, well, quite meaningless. There were some minor concessions, obviously a lot of disappointments. Progressives got rolled on things that I didn't even really expect them to get ultimately rolled on. But even beyond that, there's no expectation really that you're going to have anyone who supported Bernie Sanders within a Biden administration. I mean, I haven't heard any names seriously floated that would be from the Sanders wing of the party. I don't have any expectation that there will be real political energy over pushing this administration far to the left because they feel like they won the primary without the left. They win the White House without the left being excited about them. And so I don't think that they feel any pressure to do much of anything for the left wing.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. The most important thing to watch is the transition team, which is being headed, I think, by Ted Kaufman. Who was, we know very much kind of what Ted Kaufman's politics are. He's a Biden guy. So it's all personnel as policy. So we're going to see whether any of these even unity task force people even end up in an administration. My money is on probably not.
Unlikely. I've always thought that the point essentially of having the unity task forces is to have a show of working with the Sanders people, but without having to actually bring them into your administration.
That's exactly it.
Final question for us. Go ahead, Sagar.
Okay, what type of music is on your playlist at the moment? What do you think, Crystal?
Okay, I have extremely basic musical taste, so nothing interesting or unusual. There is a Spotify playlist that I really like that's like beach chill music or something like that.
Beach chill music.
That I listen to on the weekends or like when I'm cooking dinner at night for the kids or whatever. So that's what's on my playlist.
I've got a song stuck in my head from Eurovision, which is that new movie on Netflix called Husavik, which is in Icelandic, and I literally been playing it on repeat.
Really? I'll have to check it out.
It's really funny.
Do you do that thing? So I know people like my husband will get into one song and he will listen to it relentlessly, for days and for like 2 weeks straight. He will listen to the same song on a loop relentlessly, and then he's like done with that song and on to the next.
Yeah, that's what I do. I've been driving people crazy because I'm like Husavik. I'm like trying to sing in Icelandic, which is the most difficult language that there is, but Beautiful song. So stuck in my head right now.
All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you back here soon.